Hey everybody, it's Diana. I was going to do an intro to a knitting tutorial for you. Please forgive my horrible nails. Don't look at them. They've been ripping off, especially on this hand, so they look pretty painful. But don't worry about them. I'm good. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is what kind of yarn to use. And obviously you should use whatever fills your fancy, but I would recommend natural fibers. So wool, cotton, silk, the blends that people have been coming up with, those are amazing. Needles, these are double pointed needles just because this is generally what I have. These in circulars, you can use straight ones, you can use whatever. There are guidelines for the type of yarn that you use and the size of needle you use. I wouldn't worry about them at the moment. I would just go with what you have while you're learning. So I also, for people who are keen, I am really into bamboo needles because they provide a little bit of extra grip. The steel ones or the aluminum ones, while they're cheaper, plastic ones are super cheap, but they slip, and it makes it sometimes hard for you to learn when you're first starting out. So I would recommend bamboo. The first thing you want to do is take your yarn and you want to go 10 inches or so from the end, and you want to make a slip knot. So what you do is you take the yarn and you twist it, and then you pull a loop through and tighten it. And there's your slip knot. And the first thing you're going to do is cast on. So casting on is the start to any knitting project. And the way you do it is you tighten that slip knot around your needle like that. And you have the tail in front and the working yarn that's attached to your skein in the back. And you take your thumb and your index finger like you're pinching, and you put them in between the two, spread out, just like that. And then you use your other three fingers here to grab the rest of the yarn, and then you pull it down. So do you see what I've done? Let me do it again. So I've got the tail in front. I've got the length of yarn attached to the skein and back. I'm going to pinch and I'm going to push in, spread out, and then grab the rest and then pull it down. So the way that you cast on is you grab the front string that is in the one that's in front of your thumb, and you pull it on your needle, and then you grab the front string from the one that's on your index finger, and you pull it through the loop, and you pull it tight. Not tight. Nothing about knitting should be tight. It should just be snug. Do the same. So how many stitches do I have on my needle? 1, 2, 3, including the first slip knot, which counts as a stitch. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I have 5. And I'm going to go until I have 10. Right now, what we're doing is we're going to knit a bookmark because scarves are ambitious, and I bless anyone who wants to make one. But the first knitting project shouldn't be a scarf. It should be a bookmark because you should be totally proud of what you have done. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. One more. 10. 10 stitches is plenty to start with. Oh my goodness. And honestly, a lot of people feel like that the casting on process is the hardest part of the whole business. So if you've gotten this far, well done. I'm really, really proud of you. You should take a second and give yourself a pat on the back. From here, what you want to do is you actually want to turn the needle around. And here's where things get a little complicated. So now I've got the working yarn, the yarn that's attached to the skein in front. And what I want to do is I want to put that yarn over the top of my index finger and then weave it under my middle finger and over my ring finger. And if you have a wedding ring or some other ring that you wear on that finger, well done, that will help. This is going to be well, okay, let me back up. I'm teaching you how to knit continental, which is not the same as knitting English. If your mom or your grandma or your aunt or somebody else or your uncle or whoever knits the other direction where they hold the yarn in this hand, that's great. I'm going to knit the way that I know how to knit, which is continental. And I think it's actually better for various reasons. So did you see what I did? I put the yarn underneath the tip of the needle here so that it's back behind. Cool. So what you're doing here, the reason that you've got the yarn woven between your fingers is you're maintaining a certain amount of tension. You don't want it to be too loose and you don't want it to be too tight. You want it to flow between your fingers with a certain amount of resistance. And that comes with practice, friends. You don't have to get this right immediately. And oh my goodness, if you do, you're a prodigy. Don't worry about it. It's fine. If you're feeling like you're fighting your knitting, back up and loosen up your tension. If you feel like your knitting is all over the place and it's falling off your needle, tighten up your tension. This is something that you will get with muscle memory and it will become easier with time. So be patient, give yourself permission to screw up, and let's proceed as well as we can. So, do you see how each one of my stitches has this little seat underneath it? That's totally natural. That's what we want. That's because we turned the stitches around. So now we're looking at what's called the purl side. I'll get to knits and purls in a minute. This bookmark is going to be in what's called garter stitch, which is the easiest stitch I know how to teach. It is you knit one direction, you flip it around, you knit the other direction. You only use one stitch, so it's super simple. Okay, so the other thing I want us to look at as we're staring at stitches, put this needle down, is that the stitches are sitting sort of astride the needle. Do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a front leg and there's a back leg. Okay. And they're kind of sitting this way. They're not sitting this way. You got me? So the front is a little bit to this side and the back is a little bit to that side. That is totally as it should be. So what I want to do is I want to take my needle and I want to insert it through the front leg. So do you see what I've done? I haven't gone through the back leg. I haven't gone through both. So this is what you don't want to do. See what I've got right here? Don't do that. Just go under the front leg and leave the back leg on the other side. Cool? Awesome. So now that I've done that, I'm going to basically wrap the yarn around the needle. I'll use my finger to hold it and I'll pull it through and then push that stitch off the needle. I'm going to do it again so you can see. So I'm going to go under the front leg. I'm going to wrap, pinch with my finger, and pull the stitch through, and then push it off. Do you see I'm pushing all the stitches up a little bit? We'll do it again. Right underneath, wrap around, pinch, pull through. One more time. Push through the front leg, wrap around, pull through. And if you want to see how this all happens at speed, it goes like this. And that's why you see people just stitching away. I'll do it slowly again. Push through, wrap around. And do you see how my left hand is helping by moving and holding it down? And then pull through. And then knit and pull through. Amazing. And then once you're at the end of the row, what's up? You've still got 10 stitches on the needle. And it's cool. But you've knit a row. And that's fantastic. So now I'm going to switch my needles, because the one that I started with is now the one that has all the stitches. And I'm going to flip it around again. I'm going to put the working yarn behind. I'm going to grab my other needle once again, and I'm going to do the same damn thing. And this is garter stitch, is knit one side and knit the other side. So you just go like that. This is the simplest stitch. Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary friends, there are lots and lots and lots of variations to these stitches. We can increase, we can make the fabric wider, we can decrease, we can make the fabric like narrower, we can add cables, we can add eyelets, we can do so many things, but one must crawl before one can walk. So let's make a bookmark. I'm trying to get around again. Check it. So what you get in garter stitch is you get these cool little ridges, and a garter stitch length of fabric won't curl. It will stay flat, which is awesome. So we're going to do one more row. We go under. Oops. I'm having a little trouble. That's okay. Just see, I'm catching the underneath. We don't want that. There we go. Boom. It's weird watching this through my camera, I'm not gonna lie. Boom. Boom. You just keep going. And right now, I know you're having to stare at this like really, really intently, but eventually this is going to become so natural to you that you will be able to look up and watch a Netflix video while you are knitting. Okay, now I can pull this down a little bit, and you can kind of see how the fabric just gets created. You're doing it, like this is how it goes. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to knit me a bookmark. Find whatever yarn you have, whatever needles you have, and I want you to knit a bookmark that is as long as you want. And once you have, and enough of you have told me that you have, I will teach you how to bind off. So I will teach you how to take all of these stitches that are on your needle right now and make them fixed so that you can have a product that you are happy with. I hope that you enjoyed this first tutorial, and I look forward to teaching you the second part. Bye!